Hey, good morning, everyone. Matt Morrison here with AccuLynx, and welcome to AccuLynx's first panel webinar that we are doing to help roofing industry professionals, regardless of your position or status or whatever, just kind of see what other people in the business are doing to respond to this whole COVID-19 crisis pandemic thing that we're all in the middle of. So we are going to have a question and answer time. This is really more conversational, less presentation, if you will, just kind of getting insight from people with different perspectives, different backgrounds, with different experience levels, to kind of, give you an idea for what's going on out there, some good ideas that people are doing, what they're seeing, and so forth. So I want to thank all of you guys for attending. This is far and away the highest registered and even attended webinar that at least I've ever done. So this is exciting for me and those of us on the AccuLynx team, and I'm sure the rest of us here. So let's introduce our panel today, and then we'll go through a little bit of housekeeping here. Starting, I'm just kind of go to where I've got my webcams here. Starting with Ricky Harmon. Ricky, why don't you go and introduce yourself briefly? Where are you at? What do you do? Let the audience know who you are.
Absolutely. So my name is Ricky Harmon. I'm from Balance Claims. I'm the director of sales and new business. So I handle new clients coming on board with us, learning the system, and helping them find out how to use AccuLynx and Balance Claims and make that a smooth transition.
Sure. And we brought Ricky on because he's got access to a lot of people across the country and different cultures, different workflows, different ways of doing business. So Ricky's going to kind of be presenting kind of a boots on the ground experience and insight into this whole thing. Aggie, go ahead.
Well, speaking about boots on the ground, I am one of the roofers on the panelists, Aggie Hall from Hippo Roofing here in Melbourne, Florida. Hippo Roofing has been a client of AccuLynx for many years. I think also one of the oldest clients. And with the COVID crisis, we've adapted very well thanks to great communication, great teamwork, a great leader with Stillwells, and obviously a great tool that we've been using with AccuLynx. So it's not, even though we're working from home, my home, we are still working in the present.
Right. So Aggie, again, like she said, she's going to be presenting more from a direct, she's in the roofing industry directly, talking to, customers, homeowners, and some of the cool things that she's come up with to help be more effective and efficient with their clientele. And then, of course, last but most definitely not least, Troy Clymer. Go for it.
Hey, everybody. My name is Troy Clymer. I'm a founder and co-owner at Balance Claims. I'm our CFO and COO. I'm also the president of the Catalyst Group and a board advisor at the American Policyholder Association, and glad to be with you today. Thank you, Matt. Cool. Thank you, AccuLynx.
So Troy is going to be presenting and talking today from the leadership executive top-down level. So if anybody on the call today is an owner or something to that effect, Troy is going to be speaking more from that perspective. I know him and Ricky work together, so they see a lot of the same things, but that's the perspective that Troy is going to be bringing. And of course, if you don't know, I'm Matt Morrison. I've been with AccuLynx for about 8.5 years. I was in the contracting industry prior to that, and I work predominantly on the training side, but I also talk to a lot of our customers and work with them through some of the different challenges and struggles. So any insight I have today will be kind of on the technology, software process perspective, but of course there'll be some crossover between all of those things. So a quick point of housekeeping: if you have never attended a GoToWebinar presentation before, you should have a GoToWebinar panel on the right. Most of you guys, actually all of you guys, will be on mute, so we can't hear you guys. But if you do have questions, there is a space to type in any questions or feedback that you might have to talk to the panel. I have got a boatload of people on the call today, and I've got one of my coworkers kind of manning the question box on the side. So if you're just getting a text response, that's probably from Michelle. She's waving right now, but you can't hear Michelle. She's helping out in the background. And then she'll be passing some questions on to us. So if there's a lot of questions, obviously there's no way we can get to all of them. So we'll try to get to the ones that seem to be on the topic there. But thank you guys all so much. So just use that question box if you've got any feedback, anything you want to add, or just any questions you want to pose to the panel. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We put a couple of questions together just to kind of get the conversation going. If you don't know who AccuLynx is, we are the largest business management software in the industry for roofing contractors. In particular, we've been around for about 10 years now, and there's thousands of contractors across the country that are using them. A lot of them are working with Balance Claims. Aggie and the Hippo Roofing team, of course, are one of them here. But let's go ahead and jump right into I already did this panel here. There we go. We'll kind of of jump right into the questions here. So let's just kind of pose it to the group here. What has been sort of the impact of the coronavirus on the roofing industry at large? Troy, what have you seen from, an executive level? What have been some of your insights there?
Well, so here's an interesting point. This is relevant to the situation we have right now today on this webinar. We've got 500 plus attendees on this webinar, so that's awesome. Ricky Harmon is our director of sales at Balance Claims. We've got a 12,000 square foot office and 40 W-2s. Like AccuLynx, we just invested in a brand new office and moved into it. We're only allowing one person at our office at a time right now. Ricky's that person today. Right, so you can see he's in his native environment, and this is there's 50 states all affected by this in an entire world. I'm working from home in my makeshift office because everybody's lives were disrupted. I happened to be in the middle of a personal move with my family right when this happened, and your life doesn't stop for a pandemic. You adapt, and so that's the biggest thing. From an executive management standpoint, and really what this webinar is about is bringing together vendors, contractors, and everybody to help those adapt. Certain organizations were more well prepared with processes, systems, and people to quickly adapt to this environment, and there's a lot that aren't. You know, I've been saying on a lot of these webinars that I've been on, because there's the rise of the webinar happening right now. We can talk about that later.
Everyone's got one, it seems, right?
You know, everybody did their business plan for 2020, right? And most small and medium businesses did not have national emergency global pandemic in the T box of their SWOT assessment of their business plan.
Yeah. No, that's I think some guys did, but a lot didn't. So you're absolutely right there. And you know, it's interesting. I'm seeing just, you know, on Facebook and whatever, you know, you see a combination of people that are just moving and grooving and, you know, bobbing and weaving and getting right back to it. And some people shutting their doors, and a lot of people are just struggling to figure out, okay, how are we going to operate in this? And I think that's exciting to see. I think some of these changes might be temporary, obviously, for as long as we're all under these conditions. But I think you'll also see there's going to be a shift in the overall industry. On the AccuLynx side, we've seen more people picking up, you know, a lot of digital options, right? Things that allow them to do business without necessarily having to sit or talk face to face like they would have just a month or two ago.
And you have a distraction too, right? You have large businesses and small and medium businesses alike, really since about March 13th, or, you know, so we're running on about 5-6 weeks now, who have had to adapt, and it's forced adoption of their systems and processes. This is a good thing, right? Yeah. It's forcing contractors to evolve quickly, okay? So especially in the roofing industry, the adoption of technology is on the uptake. That is a strong positive, okay? So what we're seeing at Balance, and Ricky and Aggie can get to this from the kind of boots on the ground perspective here as we advance, is that we have 1,000 clients at Balance. We're not all working with them all at one time. We've seen a strong uptick in them engaging with us and using the tools in their technology, like AccuLynx, for example, and being held accountable by their organizations to do that. You know, people had things going on in their personal lives. That's why I wanted to open with that, right? So the adaptation that people are going through in the roofing industry cuts across the people at contracting organizations' personal lives. It also cuts across their client and constituents' lives. You're interacting with commercial business owners and residential homeowners that you are selling your services to in a different way today. People have a fear of people coming and entering their home. There's a further stigmatization of door knocking, right? So that adaptation is forcing people who maybe hadn't adopted these new processes to do them very quickly. What's also happening is you're seeing people have had to quickly fit a whole bunch of other tactical things into their strategy for their business year in the finance and banking realm. People who have been wanting to take advantage of the CARES Act, the ERTC, the EIDL, and the PPP. And we can dissect those later if people want, right? I'm the CFO, so I'm under the hood of that. But all of a sudden, business owners, controllers, CFOs of small businesses have spent an enormous amount of time in the last 6 weeks making sure their financials are buttoned up and applying for these things and getting approved. And you're seeing some of this funding distribute. So that's a distraction maybe from the day-to-day and something that people didn't anticipate them doing here as we roll over from Q1 to Q2.
Right. Aggie, what are you seeing as, Troy was talking about customers being maybe a little bit more hesitant to talk to people, a little bit of fear, even having people in their house. What are you seeing, obviously, in the Florida market where you are?
Well, whether it's Florida or any state across the country, you first, communicate with them and offer them the CDC guidelines to make them comfortable. And we offer them in two options, either to meet outside, a 6-foot distance, the salesperson wears a mask. That way we can set expectations, we can still meet, we can still have that distance, but also make sure that we build that rapport. If they don't feel comfortable with that, the second option is we can cater to doing a phone interview, maybe a FaceTime if they'd like to. That way we can go over the estimate and go over the whole roofing process, because I don't like sending out estimates without meeting with people, nor do most roofing companies. We'd like to build that rapport, and it's worked out great. So they opt for the first option. If they change their mind, we can quickly resort to just, sitting in the car, doing the phone call and having them in the house. And it's very, we are very accommodating.
Do you find that some customers are not wanting to talk to a roofer at all right now, kind of just hunker in place, and others maybe are almost appreciative that you're trying to bring a sense of normalcy in this time of kind of uncertainty?
Correct. So what I first do is I get the calls right now. So I'm doing 3 jobs right now. So when I get the calls, I get to have a little conversation, get to know them, feel them out. I put the notes in AccuLynx to kind of give them a heads up about the person. And I make sure that every salesperson calls ahead of time to set expectation, introduce themselves, so that salesperson can still build that rapport, make them feel comfortable. So it's worked out great. We're still working.
Yeah, I think, even just 2 or 3 months ago, your notes might have been, oh, the guy's got a big dog, or it's a 2-story house. And obviously those are important things, but now it's like, make sure you show up in a mask, or make sure you don't show up at all, or, things that are not just, oh, it'll be nice if you know that, but this is almost going to make that person either recoil in fear if you don't do those things, right?
Sending the phone call ahead of time, just in case, because if they tell me that they want to meet in person, things might change where they change their mind. That phone call and that conversation is huge.
Absolutely. Ricky, what are you seeing? I mean, I know you talk to people like Aggie, but across the country. So are you seeing different things in, maybe on the coasts versus the Midwest, or the South versus the North? Right. What are you seeing there?
Right. And that's been the biggest challenge, is because it's not impacting everybody the same way in every state. So I'm working in 39 different states currently right now, right? We have clients in all those states active. And so it is interesting, because the people that we're dealing with in Iowa is not the same as the New York market.
Yeah.
That has been a huge difference. New York shut down, but if you go to Iowa, even though they're shut down, they're not really shut down, right? It's a different world there. Yeah. And so we've had to adapt, and my team has had to have a lot of emergency Zoom meetings. It's like every time we find something we need to pivot on, we get on a call and just kind of address that so we can get it down. Okay, this is how it's looking right now. So that way we have a good idea, which is actually kind of benefiting our clients, because they're catching things they haven't had a problem yet with, that we're giving them solutions to right off the bat. Like if we get on a phone call with them, like supplies, I was talking to ABC, and I said, man, you got to tell me, supplies are going to get bad, aren't they? And 90% of roofing nails come from China. They were closed down for like 7 weeks or so. They weren't producing. So guess what? The roofing nails are going to be a huge shortage. He said it's like $30 a box already. Wow. So those are things that we're just trying to convey to, obviously I'm trying to get my team to speak together so we can convey it as a large whole to all of our client base.
Yeah, I know for me, I've seen a huge uptick, and this is probably well done, Matt, but a huge uptick in people wanting digital services, right? Like,
sure.
AccuLynx, we have our Smart Docs, which is like our version of, say, a DocuSign kind of a thing. I remember the first day that all these lockdowns started coming into place, we would get customers, Matt, we want Smart Docs. So what are we going to do? We're not stopping. We're not slowing down. And those are the customers like Troy was talking about, where they had a plan in place, they had the systems and the processes in place so they could pivot, like that. And then, of course, course, as time has gone on, more and more people are saying, okay, we need that. How about digital presentations? And how can I provide as close to a face-to-face sales pitch as I can, like in Aggie's case? If some people are willing to talk to you, great, but a lot of people aren't. So how are we going to do that digitally, right? What are the tools that we're going to need to be able to make that happen? So I've seen a huge uptick in that. And also I think some mind shift changes, right? People that just only want to do things the way they've always done them are going to be in trouble. Whereas people that are able and willing to be flexible and consider new options and saying, well, you know what, door knocking, it had its time in the sun and maybe it'll have its time back. Who knows? But right now, ain't nobody door knocking. And in some cases, that's straight up illegal. I know here in Illinois, you go door knocking, you're going to have, some guy in blue coming talking to you, right? Because it's straight up illegal, at least here, at least in parts of Illinois here. So cool. No, appreciate that, guys. Let's.
Digital door knocking, by the way.
What was that?
Evolved door knocking to digital door knocking.
Yeah, no, exactly, right. Social media, Google Ads, there's other ways to get in front of people or put your brand or name or product in front of people's faces. It's just not by knocking on their door anymore. So at least not physically. Cool. All right, so I guess this is kind of a segue. We were sort of, oops, didn't mean to do that. Spoiler alert. So real quick, what have you changed? Like Aggie, what changes have you guys had to make maybe on the internal processes of your business to stay productive, to keep the the wheels of business going without the way you were doing things a couple of weeks ago? What are some of the changes you guys have had to make?
So management has followed what the CDC required for us to do. We are working remotely from home. Some people had to temporarily, leave, but they will be coming back. But the good thing is everyone has evolved working from home. We check into the office once or twice a week to do payroll and also to, get paid. But at the same time, it's also allows for customers to communicate with us. If they still like to, meet in person, they can, come in the office. We have the door locked. They can still come in by making an appointment. So we have huge social distancing in our warehouse. We have a huge warehouse now. So plenty of people have time to move around. Also, when the economy does open back up, we are prepared to be ready for phase one when it happens, and right. we can accommodate.
Sure. So what kind of, have you guys, I guess, what role has technology been playing in keeping the business going? Obviously, I know you use AccuLynx. Are there any other kinds of technology that you guys have had to bring on to help facilitate that?
Yes. So besides AccuLynx communicating with all of us, we've also upped some of our social media presence, some of our advertising, to do that digital door knocking. So we have some customers that still have hail needs. There's still actually leftover Irma claims that are left over. Being in Florida, we're lucky that we've come across all these crises. And, Troy, you brought up about having, a disaster. We've always planned for some type of disaster every year for hurricane season, but it's like hurricane season for a whole month now, about like a post-hurricane event. Yeah. So this adaptation and our experiences in the past have helped us acclimate to this new crazy temporary normal.
Yeah. Ricky, have you seen people like, using some interesting tools? I mean, obviously people using Zoom meetings or GoToMeeting or FaceTimes, obviously that's kind of been out there, a good bit, but have you seen some people using some interesting tools maybe for helping with marketing or customer service or even internal operational thing that you can share?
Sure. It's funny that you brought up your digital contracts, right? Yeah. Because I have heard more about your digital contracts over the last 3 weeks than I have ever heard of them the entire time. Yeah. And I think that's a good thing because people are learning things in their technology that they were using to begin with that they weren't really maximizing or even using, and they're understanding the value of it now, and that's good because I think that's going to continue. If you're not using a digital contract now, or before, and you're doing it now, there's a huge chance you're going to do it down the road, and digital contracts are basically the way to go, right? So I think that's a good thing. I'm always going to pump photos. Coming from the supplement world, photos are our life, right? And what I have, this is something that happened actually before Corona that I heard somebody doing that I think that really could benefit now too. You may only get one chance to ever get photos of that house. That just may be the reality we live in. So go ahead and make sure you do it correctly. So if you have new people you're hiring in this mass, surge of claims and so forth, make sure you're checking their AccuLinks. Go into the AccuLinks after they upload it, all those photos they took. Go in there, double check their work. Make sure that you're kind of overseeing that everything's being done before they leave that property, because that may be the last time your salesperson's on that property, depending on laws that happen or even just the mental state of the homeowner themselves.
Sure. I remember years ago when I was in operations, I used to say, take a bunch of pictures, then take more. And when you think you have enough, take a couple more. And even then, you probably still won't have enough, but that's it's at least a good start, right? Because I did operations from a production standpoint, but I also did supplementing. So every photo gives you more money, sales guys. So give me more photos,
Right.
Cool. And then Troy, anything maybe from an executive, do you see some cool tools out there that leaders, executives, owners, managers can use to either maybe run reports or track performance, or it could be inside of AccuLinks or whatever, or it could be some new thing that you've seen or maybe that you've been doing that's helping you do these things remotely?
So looking at how the roofing industry is adjusted, this is a good question, right? We talk a lot on tech stacks. So, I speak a lot at events in the industry, and not necessarily about balance, but about what's going on with technology in the space. I'm heavily involved in that, and the Catalyst Group is a co-op, 501c6 think tank of some of the leading tech organizations. So, when you think about your tech stack and how people are adjusting in this coronavirus economy, you've got internal tech and external tech. Ricky and Aggie did a good job of hitting on some of the external tech that you need to be using, right? Digital contracts. AccuLinks has great digital contract built right into AccuLinks. And like Ricky mentioned, people who weren't taking advantage of some of these features, the technologies they already had on deck, this has forced them to adopt that across their process with their people, right? So training on that's important, right? So you've got these external technologies that you use, like your CRM, your photo handling technology, if you're doing it in AccuLinks, if you're using your company cam, right? Your maybe your weather mapping technology, right? Somebody like HailTrace, somebody like HailWatch, right? Maybe you're using some point of sale type of digital technology externally, whether it's an iRoofing, right? Or something like that helps you make a retail presentation outside of your CRM, and then you want to inhale that information back into AccuLinks. So you've got your external tech stack, right? That's very important because it is a sales enablement stack, right? And then it has to communicate with your internal tech stack, right? So there are things that you need to have in place internally to be adaptable. I will say at Balance, we're a technology company that does third-party administration and business process outsourcing for contractors. We are using these technologies with and for our clients, right? I mean, we have such a close relationship with AccuLinks, 5 years running now, because Ricky, I don't know how many AccuLinks clients we have, you and Matt would know, but it's in the hundreds. Our team is using their AccuLinks with them to enable them to do their job. Right. So while we're doing that, we're interacting with a lot of their internal tech stack as well. So whether you're a Google shop or a Microsoft shop on your back end, right, for your communications and your business email, if you're a Microsoft shop, you've got Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is mission critical to what we're doing at Balance. So we have Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and RingCentral Meetings in our communication stack at Balance. So whatever we need to do internally, we also have Social Live, right? So we run a daily show at the Catalyst Group and Balance. It's very much like this, or we have Catalyst companies and industry movers and shakers, contractors, vendors up every single day at 2. And what we're doing is using that technology to stream this information live across every social media platform. It's internal and external tech. So if you have Google, you've got Google Talk and ability to have internal chats. I know AccuLinks utilizes that heavily internally, right? So you want to have good internal communications because Zoom is not always real nimble, right? If you need to have a Zoom, it's more for external, right? Your internal CRM, Balance, we run a layered CRM. We're running SharpSpring and Insightly, and we have a third CRM coming. Right? So we have all these different tools that are tying our company together internally. So now is the time, if you're a roofing contractor, to make sure you're implementing these things into your business and utilizing them. Your bookkeeping technology for reporting, right? I mean, whether you're running QuickBooks Online or you're a larger company, you're running some more robust bookkeeping software, there's all kinds of reporting tools in there. Fathom is a great plugin. If you don't know about Fathom, go into your QuickBooks toolbox and get Fathom set up. It's a wonderful reporting tool for your financials that integrates with QuickBooks, and then through Zapier, you can integrate it with other tools. So when you're looking at your technology now and how you're adjusting as a roofing company, you want to be prepared. Aggie hit it on the head. And what she was saying is we are going to be poised at Hippo Roofing for phase one of go-to-market as the economy begins to reopen. Okay, so I was soaking up the news this morning, and there's all this doom and gloom, and then there's some positivity, and it's, Secretary of Treasury Mnuchin says that the economy is going to be reopened by August. And then you've got rolling reopenings going on at the state level now, and you've got all these governors of different states around each other in a pack. So being aware of the markets that you're in, like Aggie said, what the regulations are and following them, homeowners are going to be attuned to that. If you're operating outside of your state's regulations, you might think it's aggressive practices as an entrepreneur. Your customer is going to think that it lacks integrity, okay? And so right off the bat, you're telling them you might be dishonest. So be mindful of that, right? These are things that you might be thinking, oh God, we just got to be the first to market. But what does your consumer think? All of your actions, and this is hard for entrepreneurs because we're passionate about the businesses we own, right? Need to be about the client, not about you. And that's a challenging time right now because all businesses are going through stress, right? So we're seeing the roofing industry adapt quite quickly. In 6 weeks, we've seen a dramatic increase across all 4 phases of our client base on their usage of their internal and their external tech stacks. And those who needed help with that, there's a lot of resources in the marketplace right now, coaches, venues like this. There is a huge opportunity to get free consulting right now that did not exist before. Last year, this industry saw an event bubble, okay? And we all talked about it. There were more in-person events than I've ever seen in this industry. What we're seeing is that quickly turn into a webinar bubble. And because vendors, Balance included, and in organizations like the Catalyst Group, we want to have your attention, okay? Because we want to work with the people that we service, right? So in order to do that, we have to give away information for free. Right? That's how you get attention. You have to have quality information. So now is an opportunity as a roofing contractor to really get equipped. Now you've got to filter through what's right for you, but there are more opportunities to learn online right now from experts, vendors, and services companies in this industry than ever before.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Troy, we're getting a couple of questions in about that reporting tool. Was that Fathom, like Fathom? Was that what it was?
Fathom, Fathom. It's a plugin for QuickBooks Online. It's an excellent forensic accounting analytics reporting tool.
Cool.
I'll drop another tip for those who are in the situation where they need help with bookkeeping. If you're a contractor and you need assistance with bookkeeping, there are some good specialty companies unique to our industry. I recommend very strongly 24-Hour Bookkeeper. Their website is 24hourbookkeeper.com. The CEO of that company, she's Corrine Woodman. It's an excellent lady, yes, well-run organization, great culture. They work with a lot of AccuLynx clients, a lot of Balance clients. If you are needing to get your company positioned for the second round of funding that's coming because you maybe were late or you missed out on getting your application in for the SBA Paycheck Protection Program, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or the Employee Retained Tax Credit, the ERTC, the 3 main loan programs, you need to get your books in order. Okay, you have to have your financials buttoned up for these things. You need to have tracking tools in place. 24-Hour Bookkeeper can help you with that. If you need some visibility and extra reporting, above and beyond what's native to QuickBooks. If you use QuickBooks, check out the plugin Fathom. If you have QuickBooks Online's premium package, it's free. You can just plug it in and use it.
I remember, Troy and I have been good friends for about 5 or 6 years now, and you came from Monster.com, right? That, Silicon Valley, big business, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's your, what you did in a past life. And I remember one of the first things you ever told me when you first started dipping your toe in the roofing side of things, balance claims and all that aspect of things was, dude, Matt, what's up with the roofing industry? Why are they like 15 years behind like every other industry when it comes to technology, right? Things that roofers are just like mind blown. I mean, the rest of the world's been doing for 20 years, right?
Well, let's frame this appropriately,
yeah.
right? I mean, I want to. You say that, and it is.
Well, there's been a catch up in the last
comment,
couple of years, but 5 or 6 years ago that was the case, right?
Yes, huge change, huge shift. Yeah. I also don't know how to build a house with my bare hands, right? So I will say that, right? I mean, so there's, you give me, I'm sitting in front of 3 laptops right now. You give me some spreadsheets and some technology. I have a great business partner, Eric Kepler. I don't have the world's greatest soft skills either, for those who know me, right? So, I mean, everybody has their strengths, okay? My background is big tech, running sales organizations and systems organizations in the human resource information system, job board space before this. Eric and I met, we both worked at Monster.com and their subsidiaries, had 15-year careers in tech at large global conglomerates before we started Balance, right? So we started from a tech forward approach. I've seen a huge shift, Matt, like you mentioned, and we've been doing business together since Balance's prior brand, SIC, which we rebranded to Balance in 2015, right? And when we started our organization, we spent 6 months before we even went to market building technology. A lot of contracting companies go to market, right? Sell jobs. And then they get revenue, and then they bring the systems and processes in after the people, okay? I'm not here to say what's right and what's wrong, right? That's for you to decide in your business plan. What I do know is if you want to scale your company aggressively, it takes people, processes, and systems, and a synergy across those 3 pillars, right? And then you're still going to have a lot of roadblocks and a lot of challenges as you punch through the growth. And you have 10 people turns into 25 people, turns into 50 people. 1 state turns into 3 states. 5 systems turns into 20 systems. Right? Processes are changing daily. You have departments, right? It's a quagmire, right? So I've been giving this talk for years called the claims quagmire, and it's kind of died out now, so I've given it too much. But, I think that's something that I respect about Aggie a lot. I want to hand it back over to her, right? Aggie is a marketing genius in the contracting space, right? So those of you who know Aggie know she's the godmother of roofing, right? And so she does what you see so many contractors doing today. And I want to shift a little bit to that and how the roofing company's adjusted, and then Ricky can hit it on how we run our sales organization. But becoming a media agency and a media personality has been a dynamic influence on this industry over the last 3 years. Aggie, how have you adopted that?
Well, I knew bringing my skills of marketing and combining it with Hippo, that was already a powerhouse in the industry. It was like a great marriage of the two. Like now, besides being family, we are able to scale together because they were already established, but then I come in and it was almost like as you put like a turbo charge into the whole atmosphere of marketing. So, we're everywhere on billboards, TV, but now there's me doing videos, and we're doing, podcasts. I have my own podcast that we're, blowing up now. So it's just educating people. I just want to educate people and make them aware, because roofing, I see it still kind of happens. People are buying roofing kind of like cars based on price, and it's the most horrible decision you can ever do. So if we can educate people, especially this time, even contractors, the bad ones are now going to be hopefully go away after this, but if they can find a way to, manipulate, if you're educated, you'll make the right decision and, go with a roofing company that, whether it not be me, someone that's going to help you with your needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ricky, anything to add before we move on?
You know what? No, Troy pretty much put the whole balance spin on things. But I mean, the big thing is yeah, we were talking about marketing, we're talking about getting yourself out there and getting the right processes. More than ever right now, that's when to figure this out. I mean, if you're gonna be stuck at home, let's find the best process for you moving forward with your business.
Yeah, I know there's I deal with a lot of guys on process, obviously from an AccuLynx perspective, but that's just the software that people are designing their processes around. This is not this is not specific to AccuLynx, but so many people want to just do the old Marine Corps theme of just, kill them all, let God sort it out, and just, not really build a process. Just say, well, go sell stuff and we'll make it happen on the back end. And therein lies, the chaos factor, right? And, my joke is that you can only live on hustle and caffeine for so long. At some point you got to stop and think and process and put something together and then stick with it, right? And say, how are we going to handle this, knowing that no process is perfect, right? No process can stop every possible negative outcome. All you can do is recognize, okay, what are the strengths of this thing and what are the weaknesses of this process, and what are we going to do to shore up those weaknesses, knowing they're there, knowing there's a possibility that a sales guy could still somehow in some way, shape, or form screw something up, and put things in place to try to shore those up, whether that be training or reinforcement or accountability or weekly reviews or whatever the case is. There's no perfect process, but the important thing is to have one and to agree on that as a team, right? Troy, I know, does a great job of saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Now, Ricky and Eric and all the other team members, here's how we do. But Troy, if I know him well enough, is not authorized to unilaterally, just on a whim, just change the process without the rest of the team knowing it, right? Otherwise, that's chaos. Now, it's one thing for Troy as a leader to say, I'm looking at this process and, we have some problems and maybe we should change it. So let's sit down as a team and figure out how to change it, but not unilaterally. And I see that a lot of times, at least on our customers' basis, is they come up with a decision and then the owner decides, well, that's not going to work. I've got to close this deal right now today. So I'm going to throw all those processes out the window to make today's problem go away, but cause problem for the next 6 months. I think sitting down and thinking those processes through, and I know for some people that's hard. I've had more owners tell me, oh, I'm ADD, I just don't think that way. Well, at some point you've got to shift from ADD sales guy to a businessman or a woman for that matter, and sit down and have those hard conversations and think about that. Those are the companies right now have solid foundations and are able to quickly pivot versus the ones that have just lived on, well, what is today throwing at me? I'll solve today's problems, I think that's a key to grow for any business really, but especially I find that in the roofing business because it's so relatively easy to get into the roofing business. There's a relatively low barrier to entry, which means good things and that you've got amazing people that can join. That also means you've got people that maybe don't have the strongest business background getting into business and then finding out, oh, there's some problems that we need to work through. So let's move on to the next slide here. I got a couple more minutes I want to go through this kind of conversation. I know we've got a lot of questions coming through, and I want to make sure that we give everyone an opportunity to get as many questions answered as we can, because I'm sure that's going to go into all sorts of different things. So just as we kind of head into that, I want to kind of talk about some advice that you might give contractors about, what you've learned or what you've seen, where you think maybe the next couple of weeks or months. Obviously, for as long as we're in this, stay-at-home order state, maybe what you think there, and then as we start to come out of it, what do you think? How do you think things are going to change, and how can you position yourself? I mean, today you've got to find a way to keep the doors open, but at some point we're going to return to something that sort of kind of smells and resembles normalcy, but that's going to be different than it was a month or two ago. On my end, I know we've talked about digital contracts and just digital in general coming to the roofing industry. And I think I was talking to a guy recently, who's a big company out of Chicago, and he was rolling our digital thing out to his team of 40 sales guys. And right now they're looking at, well, that's the only way we can sell. I don't have an option except to do it digitally. And so for the short term, yeah, that's what you're going to have to do. Whenever the doors open up and we're able to go back out and talk to people again, I was saying, that's now going to become just an essential tool in your toolbox. That's not to say you're going to close every deal that way anymore. You still might go and talk to people, but now you have an option that you can give to that busy businessman who's never at home, that workaholic guy who's only up on the skyscraper in downtown Chicago and he's never home, or the person who lives out of state or whatever. You at least now have a tool that you can, or an option rather, that you can offer your customers and say, look, I can't meet you. Hey, I can do this digitally. Do you want to hop on a Zoom meeting? You want to hop on a FaceTime? I got some digital contracts, and I don't need to necessarily sit in front of you. That's at least something that I've seen. And I think now you have to have it, practice those skills, right? There is a difference between sitting on a call like this. I mean, if I'm gonna, like right now, my eye wants to go to my face on my webcam, but now I'm not looking Ricky in the eye if Ricky's my customer. That looks weird. You would never do that if I was sitting across the table from Ricky, right? I would look at my webcam, because even though that feels weird to me, like what Troy was saying earlier, that's what my client expects. Now it looks like I'm looking Ricky in the eye. And that's just a minor skill, but a skill nonetheless that you've got to practice to make sure that you're giving the customer what they want. And there's other things we could talk about, right? My screen over here, I shut everything off. Every notification is gone. Every bookmark is gone. I don't want you guys that are attending to be looking at anything but this. I don't want you to see a little bouncing icon on the back that Matt got a text, or a slide open that some guy posted something on Instagram, right? I shut all that stuff off to respect you guys so that you can see what we want to share and not be distracted by other things, right? So that's been my observation here. I guess I'll just start on my screen, left to right. Ricky, what do you think? Right? What do you think some things that roofers or contractors can do as they start to either work through and then come out of this thing? What do you think? There's some recommendations for success there.
Sure. And you know what? I think everybody says, I talk to a ton of contractors, and the one thing I always hear when I talk to them about how they deal with their clients is, we give the best customer service. Everybody gives the best customer service. And the problem is that this is giving you a good time to really see if you are. And there's a lot of weird things you have to kind of do with the guidelines and stuff that is a little different. That's really making you think about their experience. And I think that's the most important thing that a lot of people are going to get out of it is that reevaluating the process you have with dealing with your clients, giving them the best customer service, not doing, kind of like Aggie said about the car deal, actually building that relationship that sometimes is missed. Because I think it's easy just to go into the trapping of, if insurance is going to pay for all this, will you buy this roof today? Will you sign up with me today? That's an easy sales tactic, right? But it doesn't build trust, and it doesn't build customer satisfaction with you and comfort. So I think that's what you're going to see a lot of it. And I think the technology is helping them get that way too. You're starting to use things that maybe are those aha moments. Like we were talking about digital contracts, right? That's an aha moment I've heard all the last 3 weeks, is just how these work. They weren't using before. They're going to go ahead and do it in the future. And that's perfect, because you're building your business to be better. And that's what I think is going to happen out of all this, to be honest.
Sure. Aggie, what about you?
Yeah, so today I was taking copious notes on the joys of working from home. We have a dog in the background, but now she's good.
I've locked mine up.
I don't know how that works. She's needy. So working from home and being in the field, and having some leeway being essential, allows us to still use a little bit older tactics that we've used, but now bring together the new technology of the digital door knocking. We can still offer quotes for the upcoming hurricane season in case they, right now I'm getting customers telling me that they need to replace their roof because their insurance is making them before hurricane season. And it's just that tactic to mitigate loss for them. But at the same time, we are still able to actually go through our old pipeline through AccuLynx and call those customers that might have ghosted us, because most of them are home now. So we can, reach back out to them, connect, we can email. There's still a plethora of business on our AccuLynx, and I mean, we've been in business since 2004, but we've utilized AccuLynx late, I think 2011 or 12.
I was thinking 11 or 12, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big pipeline in there. But we can still reach out, and also with like some Facebook Lives that we do, or even on LinkedIn, Instagram. People are realizing that we're willing to help, and that free roof inspection, we don't have to come inside. We can still do it. It's a free service that we want to do and help people. It just kind of makes you more personable, especially being a local roofer. It's what I want to do for Brevard, for Indian River County, and for my pipeline of other roofers out there. They know they can reach out to me and ask for help for marketing.
Troy, we got a couple minutes, and then I want to switch over to Q&A. So, from a leadership perspective, what do you think are some recommendations for contractors to get through this, and then, of course, come out the other end stronger?
4 things. I'm going to start with the most important. Regardless of the size of your organization, small or large, do not forget to focus on your culture during this time. It's more important than ever. It's not easy. If you're a centralized office where your sales staff, your production staff, your admin staff, or if you're small and there's just a few of you and you're a family-run contracting business, right, used to seeing each other. Now you're all at home. Everybody's at home. Your people are out in the field. Use tools at your disposal to focus on culture. That's something that we've done at Balance. The first week or two we've been 6 weeks now of working from home. It felt a little odd. Now our culture's benefited from it. Now, Jim Johnson asked me a question on this first one, culture, and it was right before the national emergency started. He was in our office, did a podcast with our guy, John Dye, and he put a post up about that and said, what's the most important characteristic of your culture? You know, Aggie mentioned dogs, and I said the dogs of Balance, you know, and I had a picture of Jim with a dog on his lap in our office, right? We let people bring their dogs and kids and stuff to work at Balance. It's a family culture, right? That is important right now. People that work with you, whether they're W-2s or 1099s, want to know that they are valued, okay? People have fear right now, okay? So when you're talking to your staff, you got to manage them digitally. That's not easy if you're not used to doing that. But you got to have metrics, reporting, systems, and communication. And you got to hold them accountable to that. You know, Ricky and our team have been doing a very good job of that. You talked about processes before and the evolution of an entrepreneur. You know, I'll tell you, in the second year of Balance, I really struggled with that. Now, I strategy coach on processes with Eric and Josh and our other owners. Ricky changes processes. John Dye changes processes. Stephen Tutterow changes processes. Our directors, Ann Hepler changes processes, right? They're managing them up to us for our approval sometimes, and sometimes for, I did this, is it okay? Right? We want them empowered because we have a strong culture, okay? So look at some contractors that you admire in the space that do culture right, and make sure you're taking a good accounting of where you can improve. That's more important now than ever, that you cannot be seen as much in person by your staff, and it's not easy. Yeah. Second, digitization, right? We've beat that drum here. Digitization of your internal and external systems. Why? Because you are going to be more equipped to scale once whatever your economies are and wherever, however closed or open they are right now. The more you digitize right now, the better off you are to scale for the long term, right? So the pain you might feel now benefits you for years to come because you adopted digital marketing, digital communications, digital selling, digital presentation, digital contracts, right? It also streamlines some things in your company, right? So on the marketing front, hunt your herd, right? I'm going to use 2 terms, and these are kind of acronyms, MQL and SQL, all right? You have MQL, that's marketing qualified leads. These are suspects and prospects. People are home now more than they have been before. It's a great time. You want to digitally door knock, cold call people, right? You can use telemarketing lead services where appropriate. Use digital lead services where appropriate. Turn your MQLs into SQLs, right? Your SQLs, those are opportunities. Those are sales qualified leads. You need to be engaging these people appropriately, digitally, whether it's through email marketing, whether it's through social media marketing. You need to be farming your pipeline right now. If it's more challenging for you to add new MQLs, i.e. do client acquisitions because of the business climate, now is a good time for you to put some acute focus on your SQLs, your sales qualified leads in your pipeline.
Cool.
Right? And then finally, I would say, make sure you're using this time to button up your financials. This is a good time as a business owner in the contracting space, if you're a roofer, to invest in making sure you have your financials and the practice of at least balling them up quarterly, very organized. So you're at the ready with them when you need to be able to see that information or share it going forward.
All right, so let's go ahead and thank you, Troy. Really do appreciate that. That's some awesome executive level stuff. So I'm sure a lot of people on the call got something out of that. What I want to do is we've got about 10 more minutes. I can go a few minutes longer than that, but about 10 more minutes on this call. I want to respect everyone's time today and kind of hit some of the questions that are coming through. So first of all, I know one kind of speaks to, everyone's kind of spoken to this a little bit, but Jeff was saying, if my bread and butter was door knocking before this, how are you generating calls now, right? I know everyone talks about social media. Some people talk about social media being the long game. You got to have started 6 months ago to really make it work. And certainly if you want to maybe make a reputation, that's the case. But anybody have any quick insights they can give Jeff on how to start generating leads now if door knocking was the way you did things before? I'll kind of do a free for all. Aggie, go for it.
Well, I mean, if you have your past pipeline, whether they bought, I think your path of least resistance is calling your past customers, checking in on them, making sure they love the roof. Ask for referrals. They might even know somebody that needs a roof. Everyone knows someone that eventually will. There's some people that can, be your pipeline builder. And then your past clients that maybe didn't go with you, maybe they weren't ready. That's another warm lead. Then your third option is, your cold ones that ghosted you. Like I said, and I was telling my salespeople, hey, now's a great time to text them and call them because usually they respond to texts, but they're home and people who have ghosted me end up always texting me back. So this phone's worth a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's interesting. A lot of people always want new leads, and certainly you need those, right? But unless you've been in business for 3 months, you probably got a pile of people in your whatever system, spreadsheet, AccuLynx, whatever you've been using, right? That never bought, never called you back, never followed through, whatever. And maybe that's not like going to last you for 2 years, but that's certainly, you've got these names right now that you can go back. And if you've been in business for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, even your past customers, right? I remember I had one customer in the Carolinas, where they knew that because of their weather conditions and whatnot, some of the materials that they installed roofs with, where they were prone to start to kind of potentially crack in about 5 years, right? And so every customer got put on a reminder list. In 5 years, call this guy and offer to do an inspection, see if we can do repairs, see if we can generate business. They may not need a new roof, but they might just need a pipe jack repair that you can charge $600 for, or something like that, right? So yeah, exactly, right? So things like that can also be ways of generating revenue. Mick is asking a question probably pointed towards Aggie, but I guess anybody can answer. Are you seeing a reduction in sales estimates? Or if you do have appointments, are you seeing people less willing to buy? Or are you finding that that's not so much the case? I guess anybody can answer, but Aggie probably has the closest in-person insight there.
Well, the good thing working with PAs is that their job is to get these roofs bought, so that's money coming into them. In the meantime, if there is that need, there is financing incentives. So we have customers that still need roofs; they don't want to pay for it. Unfortunately, they will have to. But there are some great incentives from banks right now. The PAs are working with their customers to make sure they communicate to move their process along. So no, I mean, people do want to buy roofs as much as they want to hate it. Like buying a car, like they need to buy it. So we make it easy for them with multiple levels of financing.
Right. So in your case, what you're doing is you're building out a sales pitch or presentation that maybe shores up some of those reasons why somebody might say no, so you can get in front of that. Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
Exactly. I mean, hurricane season in Florida, it's inevitable. It's June 1st and it starts and it just monkeys into a cluster. I mean, we had Dorian last year that could have wiped us out, but she turned right. So, yeah, I mean, every year is kind of like a scary, like what's going to happen this year.
Ricky, it looked like maybe you were about to say something before.
Yeah, so one thing I've seen in an increase on is, you were talking about kind of getting that initial estimate out, is that we've been doing a whole lot of estimates where the insurance company hasn't even sent anybody out and is not going to. So that's something to think of too, is getting your estimate out, getting in a timely manner, because they don't want to go out. I mean, that's the bottom line. Read between the lines. They don't want to go out, and they're actually trusting contractors more than ever, is what I'm seeing. So now's a good time because due to availability of their staff, they need your help, and they're actually going to pay you for it. So this is a good time to get out and do that and get that conversation going, get the estimates to the insurance company.
Interesting. It's funny because like the next question was from Adam, who says he'd heard that many adjusters aren't wanting contractors on site, or that they're not going to come out until the pandemic is over. And then going into things like, do you see any permanent changes? Like, are they putting contractors on the check or things like that? Do you, what are you hearing about that? And Aggie, you might have some insight as well, but what are you hearing about that? I've seen rumors that go both ways on the different Facebook groups that I'm in. So what are you seeing on the ground?
So the reality in the 39 different states we're in right now is that they are paying on things that they wouldn't pay for before. I mean, we're like shocked on some of the things. We got O&P without even really a fight from Safeco the other day, and we were just like, what? Like, that is insane, right? And so there's some things that they're doing different that is really helpful. Also, they don't want to be with the contract, like they don't want to be there at the same time as the contractor, right? But what they're also doing is they're using it to their advantage a little bit and having the contractor go out, do all the work, write the estimate, send it in. I'm hearing that more than we do this time of year, because normally they're ramped up staff-wise, they can get out and they can do it. I think that may actually change. They may actually see that there's enough out there that know Xactimate now. It's a different game than like what you're saying, even 5 years ago. People are educated.
Yeah, I've got Charlie saying that because of the market, he's also seeing a lot of homeowners wanting to see more financing, and it's working with them a lot. So it's kind of to supplement what Aggie was saying. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate that.
Yeah, financing is a huge important thing right now. So if you're not offering financing, this is a great time to be doing so, right? It's a differentiator, and you should have two resources there, right? I would strongly recommend you take a look at PowerPay. That's who we recommend at Balance. And so there are no costs to you as a contractor. Again, that's PowerPay. You can get with us later. You get with Ricky. We've got a good contact there, Michael O'Connell. You also want to consider maybe getting in touch with Fund My Deductible, especially if you're in Texas, right? It's another great solution that's come into the market for some demand there. And there's some other good options as well, right? I won't go down the list, but you want to have two general financing options in your quill, okay? So some contractor and consumer home improvement financing companies will go deeper than others, i.e. deeper into the subprime credit scores, okay? So you wanna have one on deck and then one that you can use to take a second look for consumers that maybe don't have as good of a credit. Now more than ever, having financing resources is important.
Yeah. Yeah. Ari says, directing it to Aggie, actually, but I've got a follow-up for Aries as well. She says, I'm also a lady roofer. This question is directed to Aggie. Do you feel that we as women have a different angle on gaining consumer or customer trust?
You know what? I had the same typical type of question on a podcast a couple of months ago. And I've always been like a co-ed kind of girl. You know, I've always been a team player. Your customer, they're gonna like you, your personality, because you are generally going to help them. And I feel it doesn't matter, you know, if you're a girl, if you're a man, what color you are. If you generally want to help them, they will work with you. Now, now I understand that people are more empathetic to work with women, and I get it. But also, I've seen on the other spectrum where, you know, maybe a guy doesn't want to work with me because of the girl thing. I leveraged that with bringing in another guy to kind of make him happy, and it works. As long as the sale's happening, I don't care. But in my sense, you know, they want to work with you, and if you happen to be a girl, that's great.
Yeah, I remember years ago, I was an okay salesman, but I was a much better nerd, right? And so what I did was I partnered up with a guy who was a much better salesman than me, right? He didn't want to do estimates, he didn't want to do measurements, he didn't want to do negotiations. To me, I thought that was fun though, and he thought the front end sales aspect was fun. But Doug was, I think he was around 50, but he was a retired firefighter. And so, you know, there were a number of people that would just drop all barriers because he said he was a firefighter or former firefighter, whatever it was. He was a little bit of an older guy. I mean, he wasn't an old man, but I mean, he wasn't some young 20-year-old punk running around the neighborhood either. And, you know, he brought a certain level of trust and comfort, I found, with people. So I think you're right, Aggie. It's important to maybe have you know, people and personality types that can meet people where they are, right? You know, but yeah, I think some people will be very receptive to a woman, and some people won't, right? It's just kind of you know, that's the nature of human nature, I suppose. Nathan saying, what is anybody's thoughts on buying phone lists? What do you think about those? Anybody have any experience with it, good, bad, or otherwise?
You can buy phone lists. I've heard they exist, and they could be as dead as a, you know, a lead you buy online, but or it could be warm. All depends on how much and, you know, where they're from.
Right.
Maybe in the Hill area or pastoral area. I don't know.
But it sounds like in general, no one's a huge proponent, or at least hasn't personally seen or heard of any massive experience with them. Is that the vibe I'm getting here?
Call people, and if they're on the do not call list and you're just calling them cold and they're not even your data, at least I can call if they're in my database, but God, you get in trouble with that do not call list stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I've got a couple questions around insurance company approval. So Ricky probably can speak to it, Troy possibly as well. Sarah, I'm going to ask a couple of these and then let you just kind of open up the floor here. Sarah is saying, have you experienced a backlog with insurance company approvals? Are they resistant to do photo only supplements and approvals? And then Nicole says, is there a better way to work with the insurance adjusters in this time? She says Safeco is denying supplements constantly. So it's kind of two sides of the same coin there. What are you seeing there? I guess Ricky specifically, and I guess anybody else that has some insight.
Ricky, go ahead and lead out from Balance's perspective and give them some of our data on these things.
Yeah, so when it comes to Safeco, right with you. Love Safeco if they're watching. But anyways, I mean, they're always having an issue with this, that, and the other thing. And I will say, you have most companies working with you. It's a weird thing going on because even the ones you expect are going to be working well with you are not right now. For example, try to get a hold of USAA. It's impossible. They shut down all of their phone lines. They shut down the main contractor line. You got to deal directly with the adjuster, and that's it. That's the only person answering phone calls. Well, USA is always the one we like to deal with, right? But right now for us, it's the absolute hardest. And so, you know, we're adapting that way of you just got to find a new way. You know, make sure that you are sending your emails, you're sending your voicemails, and doing both at the same time, just so you are getting it more out there. Yeah. You'll see the results a little bit better with, I mean, I wish I could give great advice on Safeco, but it's probably the hardest one to do so.
You know, we're not, here's something to look at from a perspective of Balance, right? We're the largest game in the nation when it comes to estimating and supplementing by pretty big margin. And we're operating in 39 states right now. We'll touch easy this year 6,000 residential files at least, right? So we're not seeing any massive slowdown or backlog right now in our business. We are seeing that there are some insurance carriers that are utilizing this crisis. Now, it's a crisis for their people too, right? I know we're all very passionate about our side of the fence, but let's not forget that like humans work at those companies too, and they're just nice people going to do their job most of the time, right? It doesn't mean there's not bad actors, right? There's bad contractors also. So the thing to keep in mind is some of them are just scrambling. Who knows, right? But we are definitely seeing some enhanced delay, deny, defend things go on in the supplementing world. We're very well equipped to work through them. That's all we do. It's not exacerbating our timelines for our clients. You know, Ricky hit customer service earlier. I mean, if anything, we're just focused really on customer service and communication, right? We are having to adapt right? So we have special communications channels going on specific to certain carriers right now. So our people, because our supplementing team at Balance is typically is in one area of our office, all working around each other. And we have many supplementers in that team, and they're separate from our estimators, and they can all just communicate. So they can just talk over their cube to each other, right? Now they're all working from home. Right. So this is going on with a lot of desk adjusters too at these insurance carriers, right, who are doing largely the same thing, right, that you're doing on their side, right? And so there's a communication slowdown. So expect there to be maybe a little bit of slowdown, but as far as any gross backup of our pipeline, and we have hundreds of files coming in daily, right, that we're touching and processing, we're not seeing that from a third-party administrative standpoint.
Cool. Hey, Troy, real quick, the name of those finance companies again, was it PowerPay and Fund My Deductible? Were those the two?
Yes, I would strongly recommend PowerPay, and you can get with Michelle. We'll provide the resources at the contact there, PowerPay, and then Fund My Deductible.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, so a couple last things. We got about 5 minutes left here. Anybody have any thoughts on things that work really well for B2B? Natasha says she's primarily in commercial. Yeah, in 30 seconds or less, minute or less, because I don't have too many more minutes here anyway. Any thoughts on that as opposed to residential, some different approaches to that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a whole pipeline of different referral partners, and it's great because I'm one of the first people they think of. So it's important just to get out there constantly, network. Even now, I do little one-on-ones with the referral partners, whether it be other gutter companies, AC, painters. I eventually will need them if things leak inside. Sure. So it's a great time to network and have referral partners out there.
Right.
B2B.
Right. Okay. One last one here. Jeff Lazaris. I think I know that Jeff Lazaris. He was my general manager a long time ago. He famously told me, if it's the same Jeff, that he who gets in front of the most people wins. And I think that is possibly true now as much as anything else. Jeff, I don't know if you even remember ever saying that, but I do remember you telling me that. But he did ask, what are you guys hearing about drone inspections? Are you finding that that's a bigger thing now? That's about the same? Is that going down? What do you think about that?
So with drone inspections, are you talking about the actual contractors doing it or the insurance company? Because the insurance company, it's always that mythical it's coming, right?
Yeah.
We haven't actually seen anything too far. Now, contractor-wise, you could probably speak on it more than I can, but I do see a lot of contractors using the drones for their inspections. And I'll tell you what, some of the best pictures I get out are drones, because you can get up to where you can't normally get on the roof.
Cool. All right, so I have got to start wrapping this up. We wanted to end it at the top of the hour. I'm already a few minutes past the top of the hour. So, guys, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with today. I'm sure the people that attended got a lot out of it, and we've got some contact information. If you want to reach out to AccuLynx, there's some information on the screen here. I know Aggie, you would be hard pressed to not find her on Facebook if you go looking. So she's out there, and the same thing with Troy and Ricky and Balance Claims. So we're all here to help you. Look, we ultimately wanted to do this to help the contractors succeed, right? And at the end of the day, if you guys are successful, then we're all successful. So that's why we really wanted to put this out there and not have this be a marketing pitch for any one group or organization. But obviously, we all have our companies that we work for. But ultimately, thank you guys for reaching out and being willing to participate in this. Hopefully we'll do a few more of these in the future. And thank all of you for attending.
Yeah, roofers that want to reach out to me and ask more about AccuLynx, if they want to possibly convert, I'd be more than happy to talk to them about it.
Thanks, Aggie. Appreciate that. We always do appreciate that. And I appreciate Ricky and Troy, all that you guys do, both for our customers and ourselves and whatever else, and just being personal friends. It's always great to talk to you guys.
Absolutely.
So, guys, that is it today. Any final words from anybody before we close out?
No. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, AccuLynx, for organizing this.
For those of you that are still with us, we will be sending out a recording of this. So if you want to watch it again, share it with your friends, family, neighbors, loved ones. It's or just review some of that stuff. I know there's a lot of good information in here. So if you want to go back and check it out, it's there. Guys, thank you so much. We will see you later. Take care. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Bye-bye.